Welcome to Journee Continues Podcast, where real voices and real recovery matters. Today we have a special guest, Michael, who's here. He's going to share his story. He's also going to give you hope, and he's just going to take us through his pathway to recovery, where he started from, where he come from, where he started from, and where he's at now. So, first of all, Mike,
Yes.
thank you. Michael, excuse me. I always call you Mike every time I see you. Like, what's up, Mike?
That's fine. That's fine.
So, first and foremost, thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you for having the courage to come on to share your story, right? Because you could have said, no, I'm not doing that. No, that's my business.
I think it's important that we give back in any way that we can.
Okay.
In
So,
every way that we can.
okay. Um, how did you get here? First of all, before we start that, what is your drug of choice?
It was crack cocaine.
It was crack cocaine. And when did that start?
It started it started in 1988.
1988. Okay, so was you using drugs on and off? How long? Like, so from 1988, did you stop? Was there a break? Like, what does that look like?
It was mostly a continuous thing for me. I started out by selling,
Mm-hmm.
then I started using because when I was selling, uh, I got introduced to it. I thought it was like something that I can deal with, that I can handle, but it was more than that for me. But I started using uh, because I felt like I could have control over the drug, and felt like it would make me feel better, or it enhanced my life. It was a misconception, but that's what I did to think and to also fit in with some of the friends that I was with. So I did that, as that was a part of it as well. So trying to be a part of the people I were around, and I was dealing with that subject, that process of being with people that used, and they were my friends. So I joined in as well. It's not to say that I was easily influenced; it was definitely my choice in the matter. I thought
Mm-hmm.
it was cool. I thought it was something that I could handle.
Okay.
So, and it was very addictive. So,
Okay. So I know you said 1988. How old was you?
in 1988, I was like 27.
You was 27, so you was fairly still young,
Yes.
right? Okay. Before the crack cocaine, was there a gateway drug? Meaning, did you start out drinking or any marijuana? Like, what led you from to say, hey, I want to smoke crack when you already know what crack does? You can see it because you used to sell it. So you know what it does to a person.
Yes.
So how did you transition from, if did you smoke weed?
Yes, I did.
Did you drink?
That was the start of it.
That was the start of it. Okay.
Because I started drinking. Maybe I was like 13 or 14. We started drinking. And normally when I was, because it was like in MD 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So we smoked weed, we took mescaline, those types of things. So it was more like a graduation for me in that way. And it led me uh, to using cocaine. So that was the draw for me, because I was addictive personality anyway. So
Okay.
I like drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was into. So it was the only thing that could happen. I was going to start using crack cocaine, because it was just something I thought I would use to feel better about myself, to handle the problems in my life that I would go through stuff. I would use that as a way to feel better. So that was the thing for me. I used the drugs as a way to feel better, to deal with problems, my anxiety, and my depression. So that's why I realize that now,
Mm-hmm.
because I had low self-esteem. So that was the thing that I would use to try to feel better about myself.
Question.
Yes.
And you don't have to share if you don't want. But what happened? Like, because I hear when you say that it's trauma, low self esteem. But what like drove you to this to make me feel better?
Well, I think a lot of personal issues with our family and things like that. It was our family was really a working class family. But I started out because my thinking was distorted. So I always had a criminal mentality. I always felt like I was good at it, so that was delusional in that sense. But I started out, my family was, my mother was, they always worked every day, and but they didn't really get along. There's no blame on them
I
whatsoever, but
understand though.
it
You
was,
telling us
yeah,
how did what did it stem from? You giving
it's
us history.
right, right.
What
So
happened?
it was like I didn't really get along with my father because again, I was doing criminal things as far as robbing and stuff like that to support my weed and alcohol habits. Wouldn't go to school. I didn't think school it was like square. I was going to school, it was this sort of thing. And the friends that I hung around, we would do break-ins and stuff like that to support our drug habits. We had guns and these types of things. So my father was very much against that, because he was a hard-working man. He felt like it ruined his name. Going to jail and doing things that I was doing. So it was a conflict for us. My mother, she was already very supportive of me no matter what I did. She was, you know, kind of an enabler in that sense because
She was kind of a
enabler,
enabler. Okay.
right? Because she never was really hard on me about that. My father was. She let me get away with a lot. Because she loved me. My mother's, I love her, so she's going to be biased because it was three of us. And she was, she would say, okay, she would be on me. I would get whoopings. I would, things of those natures. Like she would whoop me and stuff, but I knew I had an edge with her. I knew I was her favorite. So I was manipulative in that way.
Okay.
Because I didn't really have to go to school. So I knew I could get away with those things. So, and my father, he was like, he didn't like it. He didn't like it. And he was more like, I used to tell him, I said, man, I said, you work every day. I said, and he was dirty when he came home. I didn't like that. You know what I mean?
I have a question. I don't mean to cut you off. So your mother and father, they all lived together. Were they married?
Yes, they were married.
They were married. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but he was outside of he had a child outside of the relationship with my mother. They were still married, but they ended up divorcing, getting back together. They ended up together in the long run. So I never really had a lot of respect for him.
I was going to ask you that. How did that affect you? Doing that to your mother?
I was very hurt by that. It was a lot of pain for me because I never seen my mother was she got in a relationship too. So I don't, not to take anything away from her because they separated. But, I favor her. I was, she couldn't do no wrong in my eyes. So my father, I would make him to blame because for me, I always see the man as the problem in relationships because I feel like I put more demand on men. I think they should be able to handle more. Anything that occurs in the family, but mentally, we have mental health issues in our family, not any justification for those other things that that they were both dealing with. So I always blame my father for that. And then an incident occurred in our family, and my sister passed away. She was born with a hole in her heart. Lisa, she was the glue that kept the family together. I had another sister, Brandy. So I said that to say this: when my daughter expressed that, my sister expressed that she wanted to have the surgery. Because she couldn't run, she couldn't go to the gym or anything like that. So my mother asked her, "Are you sure this is what you want to do, Lisa?" She said yes. But she had the surgery. She didn't make it through the surgery. So it was like
How did that affect you?
I was hurt by that because Lisa was, she was the glue to our family. So, but what it did, it divided the family because they blamed my mother for it. I didn't like that because my mother would do anything for my daughter, my father, and then they would use my little sister. They would use that because that was her big sister. So she didn't know, but she blamed my father. He was very manipulative with my younger sister because I was older. She was a little girl. I didn't have to spend time with her. I didn't, she was like a stranger to me.
So my question for you: are you the only one, like amongst the close knit of your family, who suffer from substance use disorder? So when I say that, did your sisters use drugs? Did your mother or
My
your
brother,
father, your brother?
my
Okay.
brother, we came up together.
Okay.
So we're a year apart. He used drugs, and not to be harsh about him, but he's not really not that. Not to say to the indictment against him, but he was not that smart. He was dealing with a serious mental disorders. He was right, because he always worked, but he didn't have the basic. We would say common. I would use the word common sense to deal with a lot of issues, because it was hard for him once my sister passed away.
Okay.
So we never really, after that, we never really had the same relationship.
So since you're a year younger than him, did you follow in his footsteps? Like, because I heard you when you said that the trauma and you just wanted to block some things out. That's why you started smoking crack. Now, did your older brother get you hooked on drugs? Not to throw him under the bus,
No,
but we having a conversation.
we didn't really. I didn't really deal with my brother as growing up. We dealt as when we were adolescents more so, but we kind of split up after we got older. He was
Okay.
more like my father. He would work, get
Oh.
jobs and stuff like that. So we really, I was in the streets, so we
Okay.
really never had a relationship. We had a relationship, but it wasn't as close as when we were adolescent. So we were divided in that way. I always loved my brother. He
Right.
was always there for me, but it was more or less I was in the streets. He would work every day because he was close to my father. So he followed in his footsteps, but he also, because he was smoking weed and he ended up using crack, so he developed that as well. I had no input on that. He had no input on me using drugs. You know what I mean? Because we weren't together. I was with my friends. He was with his. So how he got introduced to drugs, I don't
You
really
don't know?
have that. I don't really know about that part of it. You know what I mean? So,
Okay. So let's fast forward. So you started out doing drugs. 1988, you was 27, not doing drugs, but smoking crack cocaine. When you were younger, you was smoking weed and you was drinking, right?
yes.
But so 1988, the crack cocaine started. So when did you realize you had a problem? Like how many years, or did you figure it out right away? But how many years did it take you to say, you know what, something ain't right? I got a problem here. I can't pinpoint what the problem is. When did you figure that out?
Well, I'm gonna say this. This is the truth of the matter. I never really figured it out until recently.
Okay.
Maybe like the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So for me, it was just a continual usage and thinking that I was all right with that. I was fine doing that.
Okay.
Because I felt I looked at it from this perspective. I don't steal from my parents. That's what my brother did. I don't do a lot of things that other people did within my addiction. There's no indictment against them. It's just,
No, you
right.
speaking your truth,
Right.
and I want you to speak your truth because this is a safe place.
All right. So
If you can't speak your truth, you can't help somebody out there, right?
all right.
I need you to help somebody.
All right. So the things I always looked at, it was a different view for me. So you're in an addiction, and in your distorted thing, you always try to elevate yourself over others. That's
Right.
what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I felt like it wasn't a problem because I wasn't stealing from I looked at myself as being better because my brother, what he did, he would steal everything out of the house. My mother's jewelry, I would have to go get her jewelry back for. So I elevated myself over everybody who was in addiction.
Okay.
So for me, that was my justification. I'm not as bad as them. You know what I mean? So it was a very delusional view at how I looked at addiction. So I never really, I was in denial about the addiction.
Okay.
Addiction
You was in
for the most
denial.
part. That was the thing.
So that was for about 5 years, right? You came to
Yeah.
you had an awakening and said, "Look, I got a problem." Okay, so let's back up a little bit. When did you start going into treatment? Like, was this your first time going into treatment? Did you have multiple times? Like,
I would stop. I
okay.
would stop on my own.
So you'll stop using on your own?
Yes, I would stop using on my own. So I would stop for maybe 5 or 6 years. I would do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would stop. And then, because for me, because I knew, you know, I would understand that I need to stop this. So I would stop. Because I ended up getting married, and my wife, you know what I mean, I had went away. That hurt her.
Hold on. What's went away? What does that mean?
Prison.
You went to prison?
Yes.
And how many years or how many months?
Like 3.5 years, almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. And is this the cause of using drugs?
It was probably through, you know, doing, you know, crime. I was drugs too, because it was part of me trying to get drugs.
Okay.
Robbing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the case, and so that helped me to clean up. It helped me to take a closer look at myself, but I wasn't all the way there by any means. So when I did come home, I ended up getting married. I had daughters, you know, 3 daughters. Ended up having daughters. So me and my wife didn't get along. I never introduced her to drugs. But when I left, I used to sell drugs. So they were around and my people was around. So
Speak up a little bit.
I said, when I went away, because I was a closet user. She didn't know I was using drugs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? I was in a closet. So when I went away, but she knew the people that I associated with. So, and she knew some people who were using drugs would come to our home. So I kind of blame myself for that because it hurt her when I left. She was hurt by me leaving. She was traumatized by that. So
when you came home, what happened? Was you still with your wife? Have y'all gotten a divorce or?
We were separated.
Y'all were separated? Okay, but when you came home from prison, when you did your 3-year bid and you came home from prison, was you able to go back home to your wife?
No.
Okay, so y'all just was like, once you went away, it was like that was it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. How did that make you feel? That's your wife.
I didn't feel good about that.
Okay.
You know, Tanisha, I was very distraught in that because I had my children as well. They never went to the system. They were always, you know, I had good parents and she had good parents, so we could navigate that situation where they would be, you know, have a place to live always. So,
right.
But it was very, you know, it was something that was very, I suffered a lot of pain from that.
Okay.
I was in denial about the pain. I was like, you know, skip her. I'm going my way, but that because I had children with her. Right. And I love my wife. I still do, even though we're not together. But I always will because that's their mother. Not only that, but I just love her because she's my wife and we had a long relationship together. So it was very painful for me. So I ended up getting out. I went back to the streets. You know what I mean? And I was hustling again. And I ended up using drugs again because of the hurt and the division between me and my wife and not being able to be a family with my wife and my children. That bothered me. That was something that really bothered me. I was hurt by that. But I wouldn't acknowledge it because in the streets we have to, for me and the people I was dealing with, the people I was associated, we have to keep up a facade. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Get this money and do this, do that, do that. And it's just a macho thing that men have in the streets that we carry, especially when I was that age. So I was very immature in how I viewed these circumstances with my wife, ex-wife, and my children. Because I would try to, you know, I would be there for them financially as much as I could be and do stuff with them. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't the way I wanted to be there, the way I should have been there. So it created a problem for them as well growing up. Okay. So
my other question for you is, how did you get this SHAR?
Well,
how you find your way here?
Well, SHAR, I find my way to SHAR because I was dealing with some issues and I had a friend of mine. He was a very good friend of mine.
And before, let me stop you. So SHAR, let me say what SHAR is because people might not even know what SHAR is.
Right.
So SHAR is self-help addiction rehabilitation. treatment facility, and it helps people who suffer from substance use disorder. Also, they have recovery housing, and that's how I met Michael, through recovery housing. He's in transitional housing, right? Living, and me and him been having conversations, and he was like, when I'm gonna come on the podcast? I was like, all y'all gonna come on this podcast and tell y'all story. And you was like, all right, dig, just let me know. I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna hit you up. And that's why, and you're here now.
Yes.
So I'll let you finish, because I wanted to let them know what SHAR was.
Well, also I want to thank SHAR. I'm very grateful that SHAR opened the doors for me and gave me an environment where I can it's like, I would call it an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it keeps me somewhere I can be out of the chaos of the streets, so I can build up strength. So I'm very grateful to SHAR.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that, and
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend anyone who's dealing with any problems to come to SHAR,
Mm-hmm.
because no matter what goes on, they will always welcome me.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to say that. And also,
he want to give him a shout out. That's what he said. He giving him a shout out.
Got to do that. But and back to what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. So when you got, so I'll ask the question again. So how did you find your way to SHAR House?
Well, again, it was a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
who was a very
and when? Let's go.
This was maybe in I think it was, let's see, it was like 2000, and I think it was like 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah, 2021.
Okay.
And he had left the streets alone. He was clean. He was very spiritually rich. So, and that's, that's what opened my eyes to him. He was very encouraging with me, and he knew I was still getting high. It wasn't something that would say, well, look, he wasn't preachy about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was very reasonable in how he dealt with me, because for me, dealing with people, you have to meet people where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't be, overwhelming and preachy with them.
It sounded like he didn't forget where he came from. He used to be in the same boat you was, so he didn't forget where he come from.
That's
I like
right.
that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So he introduced me to the program.
Okay.
Yeah, he introduced me to the program. So
how was that process?
Well, he was like,
No, I'm not talking about with him.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna fast forward a little bit more.
Okay.
How was that process when he introduced you to the program? When did you make that conscious decision to say, look, you know what? I'm tired of this life. I'm ready to get some help.
It was the same about a few months after I spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going through a lot. I was like, I'm tired. And then it popped in my head, treatment, reminded SHAR House. So I just got tired. I got homeless. I lost a lot of stuff. So I was at my bottom. So I said, what do I have to lose? I might as well, because this is something I need to get this cleared up. So I need to take this cleared up. So I entered into SHAR, into the program. I did the 29 days because I thought it was a little rigorous for me, initially.
Explain it.
Well, it was rigorous because for me, I didn't think like the meetings, you had to go to meetings every day. So that was like a little bit much for me. I had to get up early in the morning because, my lifestyle was, I did whatever I wanted to do. So I don't, what did you talking about? So I wasn't really liking the experience. I didn't, because I didn't like this, the
rules?
Yeah, the rules.
Okay.
The rules. I didn't like the environment. I didn't like being around a lot of people. Because I was always used to being around what I wanted to be around, or to by myself, have my own space. So it was difficult for me initially.
What happened? What changed?
What changed? I had to, because therapy was good for me. So I had always been into therapy. So the main thing for me was just started thinking in the God foundation was me. I had to really open myself and allow God to embrace me. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and admit to myself that I was a very stupid person. So once I did that, that gave me a way to be more open minded about things, to realize that, hey, these people are only trying to help me. They don't have anything against me. Everything that they're telling me is to make me a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to get to the point where I had to accept people, because the therapy is distorted thinking. The distorted thinking, I had to be able to understand. I had to be able to realize exactly what it is. I had to come from a deeper place, from a spiritual place, from a God place, to get where I need to be. Because I understand this. I realize this too, that God took me, everything that God took me through, I needed to go through to get where am today. I needed that. That was necessary for me. So I understood, I realized that. So it was easier for me to manage situations, to be able to navigate through these situations, because it was very clear to me that everything, all these things, these people are not here to do anything. I stopped taking stuff personal.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped being sensitive, and I started being a grown-up man. I started being an adult, a mature man.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me, because I accepted people for who they were,
mm-hmm.
and I allowed them to be who they were. So it made it easier to be me. It made it easier for me to be able to deal with people, to accept people for who they are, and not have expectations for them, to only have expectations for me. Because from what I understand, if you place expectations on people, in most cases you'll be disappointed. So that I was able to move forward with that, with a spiritual fitness, and a moral fitness,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a divine awakening for me,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that God showed me, not in a vision or anything, but through the things that I had experienced and I had survived from. So there was a spiritual awakening for me. It was a God awakening. So I couldn't deny that. So why would I? So being clean, I got to the point where being clean, and it was very something that was necessary for me, because I understood that God, I'm going to be tested, because God is going to test me to see how loyal I am. So
Mm-hmm.
I recognized that, and I understood it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to, I'm not perfect in that way. I don't,
What I'm
saying? Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I realized that. So that made me, that opened my eyes up. I could see now. I can see the picture of everything that's what He has for me. You know what I mean?
So it sounds like your uncomfortability led you to where you're at now. You had to put yourself in some uncomfortable spaces, meaning dealing with your traumatic events that happened to you, because I heard therapy. You was going through therapy, and you went through therapy through SHAR House, right?
Yes.
So once you finished with the 29-day program, you came to transitional housing.
Yes.
What have you been doing so far?
Well, so far, I've been going to meetings. I've been having therapy. I've been going through therapy and meetings, and just giving service around here.
Okay.
'Cause I have a home group. So
Explain to people, what is a home group?
A home
What
group
you
is,
talking about? I know what you're talking about. Tell them what you're talking
but a
about.
home group is a place that you come, because I want to emphasize this as well. I want you to be comfortable in treatment. I don't, because I'm gonna say this, and this is reality. All due respect to the fellowship, but I want you to be in a place, in a group, in a meeting where you feel comfortable, because that way you'll keep coming. You'll feel good about coming to meetings. And I'm gonna say this too, because I'm gonna be honest about everything, because you're the most important person, and SHAR is an honest program.
That's right.
So I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to go to meetings. I want you to go to a meeting, and different meetings, so you can find a meeting that you feel comfortable with, because you have to be. It has to be relatable to you. The people you have to have a connection, because you don't want to be disconnected. You don't want to feel like, the vibe.
That's not my story. I don't like that. I don't like how they talking. I don't want to hear all that. So talking about I was doing this drug, doing that drug. I feel you.
Right. So I would emphasize that, because at the end of the day, a person can't walk a mile in your shoes, nor can they walk a mile in my shoes. So you have to be very conscientious about that, and you have to have self-control over your emotions, because people are they're gonna be who they are. So you can't be emotional about who people are, especially because we deal with people outside our relatives and whoever else, and you have to understand that they may not be able to deal with you, because they're gonna still use, they're still gonna use drugs now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And some people are, because I always say this about treatment as well. Relapse is a part of treatment. That's not what we advocate here, though. But you got to know that's the reality of it.
That is a reality, but we don't advocate relapse as part of recovery. No,
we want you to always keep coming, but we don't want to allow that to create self-doubt with you, because your faith is everything. So if you have faith, then you're not worried.
Right.
It won't create self-doubt in you. But again, we don't advocate relapse, but we know that can happen.
Okay.
So we want you to always feel like we don't want you to feel like ashamed. We want you to always come. And we're going to welcome you with open arms.
So I heard you say, since you've been in transitional housing, you've been making meetings, you've been going to therapy. What else have you been doing? Because I see you've been working too.
Oh yeah, well I do. For me, it's healthy to work out, and just because I'm on disability, so I don't.
Okay, so say that again. You work out too.
Yes, I work out.
How does that help you in your recovery?
Well, it's a lot of stress.
It relieves a lot of stress. It relieves a lot of stress. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it relieves a lot of stress for me, and also I feel better about myself when I accomplish things. So that's something I can do, and I'm consistent. Because for me, I have to be consistent in who I am.
Okay.
Every day, I have to because this builds consistency, and it builds structure for me. So I need that in my recovery. I need to have some structure for me. Okay. I need to have a routine or something that I know that makes me feel good about myself, because that's important to me, which I do anyway. You know what I mean? Not because of the God, allowing God to embrace me, and I opened myself up to Him, because I understand that God doesn't work for me; I work for Him. So I keep it in perspective. So I'm always happy, especially now that I'm clean. So I feel good, and I know what I need to do, because I have a peace of mind. I'm better in the world. I won't allow my daughters or whoever, my grandchildren, you can't take that. If I allow you to take that, I have nothing. So you have to protect your peace of mind, especially in recovery, because when you go out, because people will try to bring out the worst in you, especially in society today. So like we use the term haters, you have a bunch of those. So even if you're clean, I mean, you ain't have nothing.
Come on, you got haters. You doing something right. That's what I keep saying. I got some hate, man. I'm doing something right. When I don't got no haters, it's gonna be a problem. Like, where they at?
Well, like I tell them all the time, my swag gonna get me through. They gonna hate that, but anyway, I just think it's important that you're mindful of other people, to accept them who they are. Don't take it personal. Don't get upset. Don't let them take away your peace of mind. We have to be very mindful of that. We have to be spiritually. That's why I say always use the term spiritually fit and morally fit, because it's divine. It has to be divine, because love, when you deal with love for me, you have no control. Love controls itself. Love doesn't discriminate. People do. Love doesn't hate today and love tomorrow. That's what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to keep it in perspective. You have to see it for what it is, and it has to be divine, because it's not really that difficult. It's not that complicated for me.
Okay.
Because when you look at it, divine just means treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Okay.
And go ahead.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going. Go ahead.
So if that's the case, it's a simple solution, because I'm about solutions. I would not be. So I make my life easier, because it's easy being me. I know who I am. I have no insecurities, because God is my everything. So why would I? Why would I be worried about anything when I got the Most High with me?
Right.
So I'm good. Or would not be. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your goals? And you don't have to outline goal 1, 2, 3. No. What are you looking to do after transitional housing? What are your plans? What are you working on?
Oh, so I was going to school, so I got my associates from Southfield, and I drive at WC3.
What? Wait a minute. Hold on. You ain't telling nobody that. Now you telling somebody that? Okay, wait a minute. Hold on for a second. So you got your associates. Yes. When you get your associates?
I got my associates in 18.
Okay, 2018. So you have an associates in what?
In sociology.
Sociology. And what you gonna do with that associate?
So I was in Wayne State,
Okay.
so I'm planning on going back there in my field. So because I'm gonna tell you another reason I took sociology, because I didn't have to do any more math. That was
Oh my God, that
so once I
math is
found that out, I was
off
really
the
interested.
chain.
Yeah.
Math.
So I plan on just going to school. I plan on getting in some type of treatment, opening up some homes, maybe treatment center. So it's not, everything is not concrete now, but I want to give back. I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to help people because I believe my calling and my purpose is to help people because I consider myself a messenger. I'm an elder. So I feel like I'm obligated in that way to give back. Because that's what I do here. And I talk to people because I think that, and the key for me was therapy too, because I think that you have to take, for anyone, you have to, your distorted thinking and your ego, you have to rid yourself of the ego and pride. You have to, because humility is the foundation as well for me. That's God given out. You know, you have to be humble in how you operate in your life. Humility is going to get you where you need to be. So that's the key for me as well. So I feel like, and I know that I have to give back, and this is my area. This is my calling. So I plan on some type of way getting, if it's 3/4 houses or whatever it is, because I see the example of guys that do that too. So that's inspiration for me. But I have to give back in that way. So that's what I'm looking forward to, giving back, going back, getting my bachelor's, and to start some type of program where I can get people involved and get them off, help get them off of drugs. Because for the most important thing, and I want people to realize this as well, because you're accountable and you're responsible for your own recovery. You know what I mean? And I don't want you to be influenced by that. This SHAR is an opportunity, it's an environment for you to do that. But you're going to see a lot of different things, and I want you to be aware. I want everybody to be aware. A lot of things that you see from people who are in the program. They may not be where you want them to be, but you have to understand it as well. You have to be understanding and how you view your situation and this situation. I don't want anyone to be deterred by anybody else, but that could be something that happens. So I want you to be mindful of that and know that your journey is your journey and their journey is their journey. It has nothing to do with you. So, and that's the reason I want to be involved and open up programs in 3/4 homes for people so they can provide housing for them and getting that type of thing for people what are in our fraternity and our fellowship. You know what I mean? To have so they can have an outlet, a genuine. Because I think if you're not genuine, and it's not always about the money. It's not. So I want to be involved in that area for me. So that's my plan.
Well, let me say money does help.
That's right.
But if you're coming from a right place, from your heart, gotta provide. And I've noticed that. So yes, that's the truth. So what would you say to someone who's suffering from substance use disorder, being crack cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, alcohol, opioids, because people pop a lot of pills. I've been hearing a lot of people popping those pills. Alcohol is a drug.
Yes, it is.
What would you say to them if they were watching and they were struggling to get help? When they knew that they needed help, but I'm good. What would you say to them? How would you encourage them, or what would you say?
Well, my advice to anyone who's
And you can look
my
right there.
advice to anyone would be to have faith in yourself and to continue to to be aware that you need help, to never be in denial about it. And if people are telling you that you have a problem, it's because that they love you and they care about you. So never be offended by that. You have to, the people that tell us that we need to get better, that we need to do better, we have to listen to them. We can't be offended by that. Is nothing personal. I would say to you, you have to really be honest with yourself and look at your situation. And once you look at your situation, because for the most part, everyone here who our story is unique, is a unique story, is a unique experience rather. So everybody's tired of living that lifestyle. So it's not healthy for you. is not going to benefit you in any way. And it's proven, is real. Is nothing good can come from using drugs. Nothing good. So I would say to anyone, realize that, know that, to have faith in God and to know that He doesn't want that for you, and that you are a better person than a drug addict. So that's
Thank
what I would say.
you. Michael, thank you. I call him Mike. Mike,
Okay.
thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
you.
for having me.
No, I got one more thing for
Go
you.
ahead. I'm here. I'm live on set. Now you better know. I ain't ready for nowhere.
All right.
Yeah.
One more thing. What would you say to the men out there?
Well, the men.
What would you? Because you spoke to everybody, right? What would you say to the men that have this macho attitude, like ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do, I'm good, or when they do come into treatment, they so used to the old behaviors and they don't want to experience something new? Because I heard what you were saying, like, no, I don't do that, they get me up too early, I gotta go to all these groups. But look what groups did to you, the product of groups, and going to therapy. And you appreciate it now.
Love it.
What would you say to your brothers?
Well, I would tell my brothers this. I would say this: your ego and your pride is an enemy to your spirit. So I want you to be secure in who you are. You could never be less than. And the bottom line, the reality is that anytime that you come into treatment facilities, people, they're here to help you. They don't. That's the only thing they want, for you to get better. But you're not a child. You know what I'm saying? You're not a little kid, and they're not going to treat you as such. So you have to understand that you have to be very understanding in how you view treatment. You have to know that they're here to help you, to make you get better, to help you, to help you get better. So there's nothing ever personal about that. So your ego is the enemy again to your spirit. So you can never be less than. So don't take it out of context. Keep it all the way, in its proper perspective and in context, because the help is here for you. It ain't nothing about you being soft, or you being, they think you this or anything. They don't think that you nothing. They just know what you are, an addict. So you have to be very secure in who you are, and know that this is the environment for for people to help you. And they're not gonna always talk nice to you. You're gonna be very respectful. So don't make people saying some things that you don't want to hear disrespectful, because it's not. So you have to understand that and know that they're here to help you, and keep that focus. Be focused on that. I need help, and know that and be self-motivated for yourself, because at the end of the day, your lifestyle was a mess. So let that be the motivation for you to realize and understand what treatment is for you. It's for you. You're the most important person. Nobody can make you a lesser person than you are, a lesser man than you are. You got to know that. So be so secure in who you are, and never ever feel like you could be less than, because you need help, and we're here to help. We want you to be better, and that's just the bottom line, and that has to be realized by you.
Mike, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
I like to thank you for being courageous and sharing your story. You were very open. You was direct. You ain't hold nobody up. You kept it moving. You was driving for real, okay? You was driving. So I appreciate issue. This is serious. This is life or death.
Yeah, this is serious issue. Definitely.
So I like to say thank you to the audience that's watching. If you feel like you're suffering from substance use disorder, pick up the phone. I'm going to put in the comment section Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network's contact information. Also, I'm going to list Share House contact information. And also I'm going to list my email address. So this podcast, we host Journee Continues Women's Specialty Services, hosts this podcast, Journee Continues Podcast. We host this podcast for advocacy, for the community, for people in recovery, to have a voice, to get the message out to people who still suffer and struggle. So with that being said, I thank you for joining us. And as you see, Mike, he come from a 2-family home, so it doesn't discriminate. He had a father who worked. He had a mother who loved him, and his dad was there. So don't think that, oh, it's single parents. It's just people with 2-family parents. Oh, that don't happen to them. They have their parents there. Just sometimes things happen where it drives you somewhere else. So with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. And as I always say, real voices, real recovery. What we're going to do is just keep coming.